Wasn't Big out at California 3-4 weeks and Snoop never saw him, but it was a whole lot of love? Come on, man.
Not true, Snoop Doggy Doggy Dog. Snoop Lion. That's what you should need to keep your name. Snoop Lion, because you always lying.
First of all, Snoop wasn't even next to us when that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, he bugging. He knew damn well it wasn't like that.
So Snoop was nowhere around?
No.
According to insiders, a lot of Snoop Dogg's tales just don't add up. Over the years, people have called him out for spinning stories that sound bigger than life. Some exaggerated, some shaky, and some flat out made up.
I step away from him. Him and Nas right here, boom. Nas like, what's up, Pop?
They say there are always three sides to a story. One person's version, the other person's version, and the actual truth somewhere in the middle. And when a story gets retold by someone far removed from the action, the facts can twist even further.
I heard he made a record about me and he was in New York, and nobody from New York is really, they talk it, man, but all them companies don't really hold it down.
That's exactly what many people believe happened when Snoop dropped his version of a supposed face-off between Nas and Tupac during the peak of the East Coast versus West Coast madness. Let's roll the clock back. On Nas's second album, It Was Written, the opening track, The Message, carried that legendary line, "Fake thug, no love, you get the slug, CB for gusto."
But Nas didn't want none. But Nas had a with guns.
Right.
So listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
By me saying he didn't want none didn't mean he didn't punk out. It mean he just didn't want to
go there.
Pac didn't even see them. I did, because I got a gangbang mentality. I seen start circling and
right,
putting their hands in their pockets while Pac is in this ear telling him, I made a song dissing you, Jay-Z, Biggie.
On the surface, it wasn't pointed at anyone specific, but Tupac took it personal, thinking the words were a jab at him. And if you knew Pac, the moment he felt disrespected, it was all out war. That misunderstanding dropped Nas straight onto Pac's mental hit list, right next to Biggie, Puff, and the entire bad boy machine.
When Tupac and Nas had to run in New York, right, at Bryant Park, was Snoop there? Because I seen some Snoop interviews and he said that he seen everything.
To be honest, bro, I don't recall Snoop being there. And the situation didn't go down nothing the way Snoop said it.
So when Pac touched down in New York for the MTV Music Awards, the tension was so heavy you could feel it in the air. This is where Snoop jumps in with his version of events. According to him, Pac and the Death Row Squad rolled deep, only to be surrounded by Nas and nearly 100 soldiers from Queens. Snoop tells it like a movie scene, Pac raging, cursing, throwing shots while Nas stood cool and collected, his crew packed tight behind him, holding the kind of power that could have ended it all right there.
And Pac wasn't cursing out Nas. We gonna keep it 100. You know what I mean? Pac wasn't disrespecting Nas at all. You know, I know Snoop said Pac punked Nas and then went to Snoop and said, you see how I got these New York dudes? None of that happened, bro. It was a mutual respect thing. When Pac and Nas met each other, it was nobody talking disrespect from both sides. Maybe the people behind Nas and the people behind Pac was me mugging, saying certain things, but Pac and Nas handled it like real gentlemen, real, you know what I mean, real respect.
But instead of violence, Snoop claims Nas stepped forward and chose peace, sparing everyone from chaos. Sounds dramatic, right? Maybe too dramatic. And here's the kicker. Snoop wasn't even at that showdown. That's why so many question if his story is fact, or just one more legend from the Dogfather's imagination. The first to clap back at Snoop was Napoleon from the Outlaws, and he wasn't guessing. He was right there next to Pac that night. Napoleon shut it down fast, saying Snoop's story was completely false. No yelling, no wild insults, no near brawl in the street. The truth, Pac and Nas actually spoke like men.
He had a great combo, man. He was like, you know, he explained that he thought I was dissing him, and he thought, and I, on the song, The Message, you know what I'm saying? He thought I was dissing him, and I wasn't even thinking about when I wrote that record. It's right, it was just going. You know what I'm saying? It was just going, hey, you know, just coming. So he thought that, and then I was like, well, I heard you was coming at me. I said, no, it was about you, but I heard you was coming at me, you know, back and forth.
Pac laid out his side, Nas laid out his. They cleared the smoke and agreed to keep it moving. Pac even promised he'd pull Nas's name from future diss tracks once he touched back down in LA. Sadly, Pac never got that chance. His life was cut short before he could make good on his word. And Nas himself later backed this up. He admitted, yes, there was tension in the air, but it wasn't nasty. Tupac never disrespected him to his face.
Was Tupac having issues when he was in prison? Because I know Snoop, he always say that he was hearing bad things, so he told Suge Knight to get him out.
They shook hands, kept it solid, and walked away with mutual respect. No showdown, no massacre, just two giants talking it out in private like grown men. And that wasn't the only story of Snoop's that people have torn apart. Take the tale he loves to tell about Pac's time behind bars. Snoop claims Pac was in serious danger inside, and it was him who convinced Suge Knight to swoop in and bail Pac out, saving his life.
That's a false narrative that I think Snoop was pushing. You know what I mean? Pac, for a fact, he wasn't really, he had a lot of, like, he used to send us pictures, and his pictures on the internet where he was taking pictures with New York dudes up in Clinton. I guess people, they like to say that so then they can vouch for some other rumors that's being spread about Pac to try to put dirt on his name. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a fact that he was disliked, he was holding it down.
Sounds like a hero move, right? But Napoleon says that's cap. He says Pac was actually holding it down in prison, respected, making allies, even snapping pictures with other inmates. Sure, Pac wanted out, but not because his life was hanging by a thread. And definitely not because Snoop played savior behind the curtain. That heroic Snoop version just doesn't line up.
We used to go visit him monthly, some of us weekly. I can't recall him saying anything where he felt like he was in danger. You know what I mean? Like, not one time. He wanted to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? He wasn't like, hey, I'm good. Y'all just go do your thing and leave me alone. No, he wanted to come home, but he definitely wasn't having any issues.
And then there's Biggie. For years, Snoop has painted a picture like he and Big were brothers, bonded tight. But Gene Deal, Puff Daddy's former bodyguard who lived through every detail, called it out.
Big got in that studio and said, I don't know why this Snoop's calling me. I'm not telling this where I'm at.
Gene says Biggie had little respect for Snoop and wasn't really feeling him at all. Gene raised a sharp question. If Snoop was so close to both Pac and Biggie, why didn't we ever see that love when they were alive? Where were the hangouts, the smoke sessions, the studio vibes? According to Gene, Snoop barely spent any real time with Big in California. Yet after Biggie's death, Snoop suddenly positioned himself as the bridge between East and West. To Gene, it felt like convenient storytelling.
When you be seeing these interviews with Snoop speaking on Biggie, how does that make you feel?
That's propaganda for the media, bruh. Pac actually you was going to Vegas and the whole 9 yards, and he didn't say nothing to you, or he said some slick to you, or whatever, this, that, and the third. It wasn't all that love until Pac was dead. Wasn't Big out at California?
The type that shines brighter after the real ones are gone. Snoop later gave his own spin on things. In a 2018 Rap Radar interview, he claimed he had a deep, emotional heart-to-heart with Biggie in Atlanta after Pac's death.
I wasn't there, brother. I don't know how accurate it is. That's a Lil C story. That's a Snoop Dogg story. But I could see you in Atlanta, but I can't see you in California at my own hometown. Huh?
According to Snoop, Big apologized, admitted his mistakes, and they buried the hatchet. On paper, that sounds like a powerful story of closure, if it's true. But once again, people like Gene Deal question the details. Why did this supposed moment happen in Atlanta when Big was often in Los Angeles? And why was there never a single photo?
What about Snoop?
What about him? It's an open, free business. But I just know he'll have more problems without us than he would with us.
A witness or any real evidence of Snoop and Big together during that era. Those unanswered questions left heavy doubts, and this two-faced Snoop narrative only gets louder when you look at how his relationship with Tupac really ended. By the time Pac was killed, they weren't even cool anymore.
When Tupac joined Death Row, was Snoop jealous of Tupac joining Death Row?
Snoop definitely was a little razzled because he used to be in Snoop Dogg. And when Pac came, he demanded all the attention and got it.
Before Pac joined Death Row, Snoop was Suge Knight's prize star, the face of the West Coast. But the second Pac came home from prison, the spotlight shifted instantly. His energy, his wild charisma, and his non-stop music output made him the new center of gravity at Death Row.
Pac was angry not only because they said, not just because of that interview. A couple weeks before that, people don't know that Pac and Snoop did songs dissing Biggie. I remember hearing it. But Pac looking at it like, come on, man, you were just in LA dissing him with me. Now you on the radio saying something different. You know what I mean? So I think that triggered some type of attention, you know? Which was, I think it would have worked its way itself out. Pac had a lot, he did definitely have love for Snoop.
Insiders whisper that Snoop wasn't built for that kind of shadow, and the jealousy started to creep in. The breaking point came after Pac dropped Hit 'Em Up, the most vicious diss track of the 90s.
You know, I don't think we was really on good terms before he died, because he didn't really understand the way. I didn't really have no hate towards Biggie. I didn't really feel like he should continue to, to get at Biggie.
Death Row was locked in a deadly war with Bad Boy, and Pac demanded total loyalty from everyone around him. But while in New York for the MTV VMAs, Snoop shocked the camp. First, he skipped a planned rehearsal with Pac for Saturday Night Live.
Suge Knight revealing that, Snoop, he worked with Big Dre after Tupac got killed. And when I heard that, man, that was wild. For you to be working with somebody that was in the car with Keefy D when Tupac got shot, that's crazy, man.
That's crazy, bro. Like, if you know this dude 100% is in a car with a person that killed your boy, and you do a song with him, it just really shows how you always felt about Pac.
Then even worse, he hit a local New York radio station and declared, "I got nothing but love for Biggie and Puffy." To Pac, that was straight betrayal. Just days earlier, Snoop had been in the studio recording diss tracks side by side with him, full throttle against Bad Boy. And now in the middle of enemy territory, Snoop was sending out love on the airwaves. Pac was furious, convinced Snoop had played him dirty. To him, it was proof Snoop wasn't riding as hard as he claimed. Sadly, Pac and Snoop never got the chance to patch things up. Pac was gunned down in Vegas, and that rift between them stayed wide open forever.
The movie was Denzel before I got the scene, right? They said, "What you want to wear in the movie?" I'm like, "Give me a blue sweatsuit, let me get to my blue chucks." They didn't tell me where it was. We get to there's 100,000 bloods on the corner. I'm in a wheelchair like that. Damn. It's everywhere. What's up, blood? What up, blood? What up, Snoop Dogg, blood? What up, blood? Standing on me. I rolled away. I went to that little wig shop. I said, "Hey, man, go find the OG from here and bring that down here." Got to shoot 3-4 days in a row. No harm, no foul. Got to know how to polish.
Afterwards, Snoop tried to clear his name, saying he never hated Biggie, that Pac simply misunderstood his words, but critics weren't buying it. If that was the case, why was Snoop right there in the studio helping Pac cook up diss tracks aimed at Biggie and Bad Boy? To a lot of people, it looked like Snoop was trying to keep his image safe, straddle the fence, and let Pac carry the full weight of the war.
Throwing, bottles at Snoop trailer. He didn't say blood, because, he ain't gonna say that, but, that's what he tell me. And I barely understand him, but I got it. I understood him. Since the OG said go over there and holler at him and try to, calm him down, because I think they was throwing bottles at the trailer, at Snoop's trailer.
So Spice One pulled up to the set.
Then came the controversy that still leaves fans sick to this day. After Pac's death, whispers spread that Big Dre from the Southside Compton Crips might have been the real trigger man in Vegas, not Orlando Anderson. Whether that rumor was true or not, here's what shocked the culture. Not long after Pac's murder, Snoop teamed up with Big Dre. He popped up on a mixtape under Dre's new label, Runoff Records. Fans couldn't believe it. How could Snoop, Pac's so-called brother, his right-hand soldier, collaborate with someone even rumored to be linked to Pac's murder? To many, that decision spoke louder than any tearful tribute or heartfelt interview ever could. As the years passed, Snoop slowly shifted his story. In interviews, he painted Pac as his brother for life, claiming they were inseparable until the very end. But to insiders who saw the tension up close, it reeked of damage control, not truth. And the pattern didn't stop with Pac. Snoop has long been accused of pumping up his own street legend. Nobody denies his Crip roots. He's a certified Rolling 20s affiliate and his credentials are stamped. But time and time again, he's been caught stretching stories, adding flair, and rewriting moments to make himself shine brighter than reality ever did. Take the Training Day story Snoop loves to tell. He claimed he pulled up to the set rocking a blue tracksuit only to realize the movie was being shot deep in blood territory. According to him, he played peacemaker all on his own and buying some weed from the local OG in a wheelchair and turning a tense block into neutral ground, almost like he was some street diplomat. But the real story painted a very different picture. Chaos broke out around the set. Blood started tossing bottles at Snoop's trailer, trying to send a message and intimidate him. While Snoop stayed locked inside, it was actually Spice One, a respected West Coast veteran, who got the call. Spice pulled up fast, confronted the situation head-on, and talked the Bloods down before things exploded. His reputation carried enough weight to cool everybody off, and only after that did the police step in to clear the scene. Spice later admitted Snoop had no idea how close things came to getting ugly outside that trailer. That's the thing with Snoop. He's a certified West Coast legend, one of the most recognizable figures in hip-hop history. But when stories like these keep getting checked by people who were actually there, cracks start showing. Each time receipts pop up, Snoop's version of events begins to sound less like real history and more like a Hollywood script he's directing himself. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment with your thoughts. And I'll see you on the next one.